thanks. Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby Panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Welcome to the Scooby Panel. I'm your host, Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com, and today we are talking about Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. Before we begin, I'll have everyone introduce themselves, and Joel will start with you.
Starting with me, it's always Wendy first. Wow.
You guys
Hey
are
there.
on my screen, so we're starting with you.
There, I am Joel, and I'm shocked, and I'm from the YouTube channel Plant Scooby.
Wendy.
Hey guys, I'm Wendy Bridge. I'm a commissioned artist and I've been collecting Scooby for over 30 years.
Very excited to be talking about Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, and I'm going to read the summary that I wrote about it. The movie starts with Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy in a race, which they win. We're then introduced to Dracula's castle and the opening credits. The monsters are all sitting around talking, discussing Werewolf's retirement to Florida, and how they need a replacement driver for the Monster Road Rally. According to the Grimness Book of Records, every 500 years, the moon is in the perfect position for 3 consecutive nights to create a new werewolf, and Shaggy's picture is shown in the book. Dracula calls on the Hunch Bunch to help him find Shaggy and turn him into a werewolf. On night 1, they cut a hole in the roof, but Scooby grabs Shaggy from the bed and takes him downstairs to protect him. On night 2, they try to turn him at the grocery store, but they fail again because Shaggy runs into a truck of watermelons. And finally, on night 3, they succeed at the drive-in when Googie asks Shaggy to put the top down on the car. Shaggy gets hit with a moonbeam and he turns into a werewolf, though he has the hiccups and he keeps changing back and forth. As Shaggy walked through the drive-in to get food, he was scaring the people, and the cops started chasing him. They left and ended up in the clutches of the Hunch Bunch, who put moon dust on them to put them to sleep and took them to Dracula's castle. At Dracula's castle, they were revived, and Shaggy insisted they were all having a dream. But Dracula clarified it was not a dream, and he needed Shaggy to drive in the Monster Road Rally. Shaggy refused, and they all got locked in a room. After several failed escape attempts, they decided to join the Monster Party, where Shaggy went into a secret room and they almost got squished by a wall of spikes. Shaggy agreed to race if Dracula lifted the spell if he won. After many shenanigans and hijinks during the race, and Dracula trying to keep Shaggy from winning, Shaggy won. Dracula refused to turn Shaggy back, so they stole the Grimness Book of Records, went home, and changed him back there. Scooby pretended to be a werewolf by wearing a mask, and Dracula and the Hunch Bunch ended up outside their window. I think that covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit better at writing, I think. We're going to go over the voice cast too. Don Messick was Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. Casey Kasem was Shaggy. B.J. Ward as Googie and the woman on TV and Repulsa. Hamilton Camp as Count Dracula, police officer, and man in drive-in. Jim Cummings as Frankenstein, Dragonfly, Wolfgang, snack bar manager, Genghis Kong, and monster on TV. Joan Gerber as short witch sister and woman at store. Ed Gilbert as Dr. Jackal, Mr. Snide, spooky voice, doorknob, and the narrator. Brian Mitchell as Bone Jangles. Pat Music as Vanna Pyra and Girl in Drive-In #1. Alan Oppenheimer as Mummy and Swamp Thing. Rob Paulson as Brunch, Ghost, and Man in Car. Mimi Seaton as Tall Witch Sister, Girl in Drive-In #2, Boy in Drive-In, and Screamer. And Frank Welker as Crunch, the Spider Monster, Plant Monster, Tyler Country Racer #1, Rooster, and Schlock Ness Monster. Let's talk about the intro. Joel, your thoughts on the intro?
Where does the intro end?
I would say the intro ends when after the credits, so when they're all sitting at the table, all the monsters are sitting at the table talking about the werewolf.
So it was a fairly long intro, wasn't it?
I think it was pretty long because they started with the race, that
Yeah.
first race.
Yeah.
Yeah, the intro, I expected an animation opening like we got with the Boo Brothers and Ghoul School, and that never happened. I didn't mind the intro though. It was long though. I thought we'd get like it started off with the race, and then I thought it would have a little less intro, and then there'd be more of a race after. But then the actual race is like the last half, I think. Would you say? Like there's a lot more to it than I thought. Between like I guess the third act, if you call the race the third act, there's a lot of the intro and then like this long second act that I didn't expect, and then we get the race. But yeah, I don't really have any thoughts on the intro though, just other than it was just long. Longer than I thought.
Wendy, your thoughts on the intro?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that it should even be necessarily called an intro. I mean, obviously, logically, that's what it is because it's introing the show, but it's so just part of the story. It's like the little bit of backstory. So it's not the same kind of intro as we've like got in Boo Brothers or anything else, which is kind of a shame. I think they spoiled us with Boo Brothers, and I mean, can we say that the intro to Boo Brothers was maybe the best part of that film? So yeah, I think they could have done something a little bit more fun with this, but it was fine. I did enjoy like the voiceover narration introing the characters and the race and everything. I thought that was fun. But yeah, it kind of, I mean, it was a good setup to what the rest of the film was going to be, which is a little bit boring and definitely longer than it needed to be. So, I mean, they set it up properly to sort of, you know, be like, hey, this is what you're in for the next 90 minutes or whatever it was. Yeah, I guess it was what it needed to be.
The one thing that I liked when they showed the credits was they showed just background art. And I thought that was kind of cool because, you know, you really got to see the backgrounds throughout that part of it. I do agree that it was definitely a lot longer than it needed to be. And they could have done something a little more exciting with the intro. I don't know. I mean, I get doing the race at the beginning because later they did the race with the monsters, but maybe it was too much. I think the whole movie, like it was just prolonged, and it was just the whole thing was just too long for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Shaggy and Scooby's demeanor. What were your thoughts on that, Wendy?
Probably in this film more than the other two, Ghoul School and Boo Brothers. It feels like such a departure from the Scooby and Shaggy that we know from the early series. Not saying that it's bad, it's not bad, and I'm if that was your first introduction to Scooby, like Reluctant Werewolf or Boo Brothers or Ghoul School, I think that would be fine. That would be a good introduction to them. It wouldn't be the original to me because it definitely is a departure. Having this not be my first introduction to the characters, however, I'm not crazy about this like Shaggy and Scooby that aren't really scared of stuff. Yeah, there's moments of it, but it's so just different from Where Are You and the early series. And it changes the sort of like it changes the dynamic of all of the people involved, all of the characters, but it also changes the dynamic of just the storytelling, which is probably the point, because this film definitely is like leaning heavily into like the more comedy aspect of things, which already I'm not the biggest fan of with Scooby. It's fine. They're fine. Everything is fine, but that's it. And to me, classic Scooby could never be defined as just fine. There's a whole string of wonderful adjectives that we could put on classic Scooby. None of them are the word fine. And to me, that is literally the only thing that comes to mind with this movie is like, it's fine. So I'm glad that they're friendly and that it wasn't like there's no real, well, there's a little bit of conflict between them, which is probably the one thing about the movie that I didn't like, was where Scooby and Shaggy, they're watching a monster movie. Scooby does get scared and he spills the popcorn, and Shaggy like gets mad at him and he snaps at him and, says, oh, monsters aren't real, so stop being so scared.
How many times do I have to tell you movie monsters are not real?
And it's like, okay, well, Shaggy would have never said that in 1969, number one. And also, like, did you have to get like snippy with Scooby? You could have, like, he could have reacted the same way, but with like a different tone that I think would have been more appropriate for the characters. But this is like sort of, and the timing as well, obviously. We shouldn't be surprised with how Pup Scooby ended up going, given that they were already sort of mildly making little transitions in these films to the characters that I think sort of like cracked open that door for when they did that series to be like, well, let's just kick the door open and we're just going to walk right on through. We're not just going to stick our toe in it. And I don't like that, because one of the wonderful things and endearing things about Scooby is like the lack of conflict between the main characters. The conflict comes from the villain. I don't think that the conflict ever needs to spill over into the friend zone, especially between Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. So that is part of their demeanor in that scene, and it was very off-putting for me. I didn't like it, and I kind of wanted to slap Shaggy and be like, keep Scooby's name out your mouth, just put a little respect on that. So yeah, it's fine. There's nothing else I can say.
When they spilled the popcorn, I did think it was really odd how Shaggy reacted, because normally they would just eat it off the floor and that would be that.
True.
And he was just like, we'll clean this up. You go get us more popcorn. Yeah, it was really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Joel, your thoughts on Shaggy and Scooby's demeanor?
Yeah, I thought that was a weird scene too. Wasn't a fan of that in particular for all the reasons Wendy gave. Shaggy, this is, I guess, Shaggy's movie, and I feel like Casey Kasem was even getting tired of all the dialogue and the long running time, because midway through it didn't even sound like Shaggy anymore. To me, it sounded more like Casey Kasem. I guess this is maybe a more adult Shaggy, somewhat. He's in a relationship. He's, what was I going to say? He's driving, and he's a really good driver, but that even doesn't make sense, because like in previous Scooby episodes, like The Beast is Awake and Bottomless Lake, and the one with the three-colored ghost, the Neapolitan ghost, Shaggy was given the opportunity to drive, and he crashed the Mystery Machine both times. So it's weird that all of a sudden now he's like this race car driver who can make all these smooth moves, and classic Shaggy's kind of a bit uncoordinated and clumsy, and even though he is a track star or whatever, what was he? Was he a track star or some sort of star?
Swinging his gymnast in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was also a track star as well, right?
Right.
Could be.
In the
I think.
movies one with the redheaded ghost, Fireball something or other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But Scooby generally seemed normal. He just didn't have much to do.
Mhm.
There's even a scene where like Shaggy locks Scooby and Scrappy in a room, and they just have this little mat to sleep on. And I felt so bad for Scooby, even though like all my dogs always slept on a mat, and they always slept in a different room anyway, but I never locked them in the room.
Yeah.
You think Scrappy's gonna get out and poop somewhere? Like, I don't know, but I just felt bad for the two of them just being in this closed room on a little, it wasn't even like a thick rug. It was just like this beat up rug that belonged to a bachelor. They probably got off the side of the road.
I did think their demeanor was kind of odd. Like Shaggy was, I guess, more grown up, like you said, but almost kind of indifferent to Scooby. Like they weren't
Yeah.
friends. They, in most iterations, they're best friends, and they were not best friends in this. And Shaggy was less scared, just kind of, whatever, Scooby, go away. At least they didn't have Googie cause a rift between them, because that would have just made it all worse. But it was a little off-putting because of their demeanor. Like I expected them to be closer, like best friends, and excited to be doing things together. And yeah, they could have almost done this without Scooby.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like the first time where Scooby is Shaggy's pet. I think the scene with like them, like, okay, I'm going to bed, and Shaggy goes in his bedroom, and yeah, like dogs sleep on the mat.
Yeah.
And that's not the way that it's ever been played out. They always have a bed, or they're sleeping together. So it's like he was treating them like dogs, and that's really the first time that I think that happened in the franchise, and it's very off-putting.
Your thoughts on Scrappy, Joel?
Scrappy was fine. He, like the last one, Ghoul School, he didn't have much to do. I guess he did have a lot to do, but I blanked out during the race. I watched this 3 times in preparation, and every time the race happened, I just could not focus and just, I don't even know what was going on. And that's half the movie, or if not more. But I did really enjoy the scene where Scrappy is explaining the scary movie to Scooby, and he re-scares Scooby. But just Scrappy's so into this vampire or monster movie they're watching, and just is running through the motions of the movie.
Opened his big ugly jaws and showed his big ugly fangs, and then how he bit right into.
And Scooby's getting scared again. I really enjoyed that scene. So I enjoyed Scrappy, but aside from that and him, I think he gave and I only know this because I was really trying to focus today. He gave it was like some Loch Ness monster, but they called Swampness monster, some pepper to make it sneeze. Oh, and didn't he find like some secret passage too, which didn't turn out to be anything? Yeah, Scrappy didn't have much to do. Wendy could probably speak more of Scrappy.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scrappy?
I do think that he had a little bit more to do in this movie than he did in Ghoul School. And he felt like less of like an afterthought. But I mean, there's so many like subplots in this film. They aren't really, but it feels like so many things put together, which in a minute there was a reason for that. But even more than that, it was Scrappy and Googie. Scrappy and Googie were the team. And I don't like Googie, but I was kind of into that. Like because she didn't treat him poorly, and he totally accepted her. I mean, like Nikki said earlier, thank goodness they didn't make her like a stumbling block between the rest of the characters. It was just accepted that she's there and that this is what it is. And even though I don't think we needed that, the way it was handled, I think, was appropriate. So I enjoyed seeing her interacting with Scrappy. I think Scrappy got to show off a little bit more of like his like practical. I mean, because it was the Scrappy traps in the earlier series with him, but these ones were like all successful. They weren't traps, but just like the mechanical aspects of like doing things with the car and stuff like that. It was also very Inspector Gadget. So I kept thinking of Scrappy as like if Brain could have like articulated himself the way that Scrappy did in this film, I would have loved that, because I always felt bad for Brain. Brain's doing all the work and he's getting like, nobody even knows he's there. So Scrappy was like Brain to Inspector Gadget, only like to the nth degree, and I did enjoy that. But again, it was so disconnected. All of the characters felt disconnected. They were kind of paired off with each other, but also it was almost like there was almost no chemistry between the characters. It was like they were just there, and they could have been strangers teamed up to do something, and I'd have believed that. Yeah, again, it was just fine. Even poor Scrappy. I mean, I did enjoy Scrappy here, but it was just fine.
He was good during the race when he was helping Googie to help Shaggy.
Mhm.
But the whole first half of the movie, I almost didn't even realize he was there.
Yeah.
I mean, even Scooby, I didn't, for like
Mhm.
the second half of the movie, I didn't realize he was even there anymore.
Yeah.
So, no.
Mhm.
Wendy, your thoughts on Googie?
Okay, so rewatching this, I'm watching it and I'm watching it and I'm like, what is it about her? What is it about her? It's like a sense of familiarity, but also something else. It took me probably a good 35, 40 minutes into the film on my rewatch before all of a sudden it just clicked in my head, and then it kind of ruined the rest of the film for me. And I was like, because it's Velma from Zombie Island. And then the whole rest of the movie and the whole second rewatch that I did a few days later, I could not see Googie on my screen. She became Zombie Island Velma. Because the voice is exactly the same. It's really, I don't think that BJ Ward changed it. I don't have a problem with it. But once I heard Velma's voice in my head, I couldn't get it back out. So Googie almost doesn't exist in my mind anymore. It's just Zombie Island Velma with a different hairdo and a cute outfit. So, yeah, again, do we need Googie? No. At least she was better than Crystal. I will say that. I mean, at least the movie has that going for it. I liked her way better than Crystal. I did enjoy the scene where Googie's trying to kiss Shaggy, but she ends up kissing Scooby instead, because it made for a funny moment. But also, you don't need to be doing that. Was also a little odd, though, that the dogs came on their date with them. So I kind of wish that they wouldn't have framed it as, like, they shouldn't have said date. It could have just been like, oh, we're going to the movies tonight. And people would draw the conclusion, well, it's a guy and a girl, they're on a date. Fine, draw that conclusion. But for them to like expressly say it made it weird to have them there. And then she's trying to get the dogs to leave so she can be alone with Shaggy. And I'm like, why? This subplot is not necessary. So that's not specifically like her. I would have felt that way with anyone probably, but I will say that watching it now compared to when I was younger, she's less annoying to me now, but just barely. I don't know. I wonder what I would have thought of her if she had just been introduced as a side character. No relationship with Shaggy, no like romance with anybody else, just a random side character. I think I would have enjoyed her more. I did like her look. I thought she was very cute, very appropriately 80s. Don't believe for a second that if Shaggy was a real person that he would have dated her. To me, that was like not believable at all. Or that someone like her would want to date him, even in his like more matured adult version that he clearly is supposed to be here. But yeah, I mean, she's not Googie anymore. She's just Zombie Island Velma to me. I can't unhear it now.
My brain is thinking about the cheers that she was doing, and like all of a sudden, I'm hearing Velma's voice.
Go, Shaggy, go! Don't be a butt!
Yeah.
I didn't have that problem, but yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Joel, your thoughts on Googie?
I didn't mind Googie. Oh, look, what can I say? I keep saying Sorry, Nikki. I didn't mind Googie. She was, uh, she was supportive. She was into everything. She was also had no real charisma for me. Like, I think Winnie kind of nailed it. Like, there's just no chemistry between the four leads. And I don't think that's the fault of the voice actors or even the script, really. It's just, I think maybe this one could have used a little more time in the oven or something, but she was fine. Like, as a guy, if I had a girlfriend like that, I can't complain, so I can't complain about Googie. But yeah, I don't think she'd ever go for Shaggy in real life unless maybe she was really into cars. Like, she's the classic daughter of a mechanic trope, kind of. She knows her way around a car or something, and this is her way to get into the industry. I don't know. I'm doing some backstory that doesn't exist, but a lot of people love her, and for the amount of time she's given, like in the Scoobyverse, she's just kind of like a brief footnote. So I don't really understand the love unless you're really into this movie, and movie means everything to her. But yeah, like after this discussion, I won't even really remember who Googie is unless it comes up randomly in one of our conversations. But I'll completely forget about her.
I didn't mind her as a character, but yeah, like I don't like the whole relationship thing, so I could have done without that part of it. But I did like that it was more of a positive relationship that they were trying to portray, even if, like Wendy said, there was no chemistry between any of them. It was almost like the four of them didn't know each other at all.
Mhm.
So it was just kind of odd. Yeah. Um Yeah. I don't like her name, and I don't understand why they decided that was going to be her name.
Mhm. Yeah. And now, like, just when you said that, I don't know what connection my brain's trying to make here. I don't know what I'm trying to say, so I'm just going to say whatever. But, like, the fact that they made Googie Shaggy's girlfriend, and then in the next series, his little sister is Shuggy, the fact that they sound so similar is now bothering me. That it went from like his girlfriend to his little sister. It didn't, because it's not the same name, but it might as well, like it has that same sound to it. So yeah, now I'm more disturbed. I don't, it's more off put now.
Oh, that's funny. Dracula, the Monsters, and the Hunch Bunch. Joel, what are your thoughts?
Dracula is a man-child, and the Hunch Bunch had too much screen time. Way too much screen time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see like a kid watching this and having fun imitating the Hunch Bunch. Uh, but yeah, it's just too much spittle and too much, my dear boy. The voice actors did a fine job, but it, this movie, they had more screen time than Shaggy, I think, the Hunch Bunch. Uh, I'm sure Nikki has a lot to say about Dracula. I didn't mind this Dracula at all. He was just comedic relief, and it's not my ideal version of Dracula, but for the movie, it was fine. He made me kind of laugh. I get the humor with that they're doing with it. It's not my type of humor, but I didn't hate this Dracula probably as much as Wendy did. I'm putting words in Vinny's mouth, so she probably, hopefully, has a different opinion. I don't know. I'm just guessing because she's a big Dracula fan.
Hey, Wendy, what are your thoughts on Dracula, the Monsters, and the Hunch Bunch?
Yeah, I have to say, I actually love this Dracula.
Hmm.
I don't know why, because he's like everything that I don't like all the comedy and the joking around, and he's kind of a bumbler a little bit. But I don't know what it is about him. He's just like, he's probably my favorite part of the film. I loved almost every second that he was on screen. I thought he was like a really nice design. He kind of reminds me a little bit of George Hamilton's Dracula. So maybe that's why I really liked it, because I've always been fond of that version too. But the monsters, I know that like it's a show with a budget and there's time constraints, and like I know that having to draw those cars and they're so detailed, you know, was a huge pain. But in spite of that, nothing was detailed enough. For me, the monsters weren't detailed enough. The cars weren't detailed enough. I know it was more detail than they were used to because, you know, like Scott told me lots about this and working on it. But everything just, it's like everything for me just felt like a little bit short of its mark. I wanted to love all of those monsters. I wanted to love all of the cars. And I just was like, they're boring. They're boring. There's not enough like, and it's not that you have to have more detail. It's just like, I feel like the details that they focused on were not like, wow, attention grabbing. I feel like Dracula got that treatment. For me, he kind of checked all those boxes, but like none of the other monsters really did for me. I'm not even sure if I'd never seen Moonlight Madness, I probably would love this version of like a Shaggy werewolf. He's cute. He's well rendered. He has lots of details. He's also unique. He's definitely a werewolf, but he doesn't look like every other werewolf that we've ever seen. But that Shaggy werewolf from Moonlight Madness is like horrifying in the best way possible. And I get that wouldn't have really suited Shaggy's character in this film. I do understand that. But for him to be like the best designed monster apart from Dracula is a letdown, because they had such a cool lineup of characters. And I mean, like, props to everybody that worked on it. I'm not taking anything away from anybody. It just wasn't exciting enough for me, their designs. I totally agree. The Hunch Bunch, how did they become the stars of this movie? I don't really know. And it's bugging me because they remind me of something. I don't know if it's the voices or the look. I don't know. And after 2 rewatches, I still can't place it. I cannot place like what it is about them that is familiar to me. I don't know what it is. And that's bugging me so bad. So I don't know. I'm maybe going to have to go to my grave with that, like unsatisfied feeling of like, what do they remind me of, or who do they remind me of? But also Vanapyra, whoever named her and designed her, yes, get that person an award. I thought that was fantastic. I love her scenes with Dracula. I've got to be careful that I don't jump ahead to another question, like of my favorite thing. So I'll wait, but I loved her. I thought she was great with Dracula. Excellent. Like, for someone that doesn't like that kind of comedy, their comedy together, I was all about it. And for me, that was the best part of the movie, because everything else was just very long and drawn out and not very exciting. So, but yeah, I don't know that he wouldn't make like my top 10 list of Draculas probably, but I do really like that Dracula. And I really enjoyed the voice of him as well. Wasn't crazy about, even though now I'm like, wait a minute, was it the same voice just with like a different inflection? I don't know. It might have been, but I feel like in Ghoul School, I wasn't into that Dracula. There was something about him that I was just like, meh. But this one, yeah, I loved him. Joel, I'm surprised that you didn't like him that much.
Well, I think it's more to do with I didn't like the movie that much.
Okay.
I wasn't a huge fan of this Dracula. I don't know. I feel like Dracula shouldn't be getting run over by a car in the mud and being spit on, and I don't know. I just feel like he should be more empowered. Yeah.
Would that have worked in this film though, the way they did it?
I'm not sure that anything would have worked in this film. The Hunch Bunch I didn't like at all. I don't like the weird, the weird things that they do. Like being spit on is like so gross.
Yeah.
It's so gross. So any character that's doing that, I have a hard time with. And they did get an awful lot of airtime in this movie for being really annoying characters.
Mm.
The monsters, they were okay. They were all right. I feel like because I look at them sort of like the Universal monsters, but in this they were like really petty and childish, I guess, in a way. So it was hard for me to like them like I could have liked them. And I feel like this could have been a really great way to mix Scooby and the Universal monsters had they given it a little bit more time, maybe. I don't know. General thoughts on the movie. Wendy?
Okay, so the reason that this film seems so disjointed is that, like other ones, like Ghoul School, this was Joe Barbera taking failed pitches and being like, fine, put it together and make it a movie. So Scott was nice enough. I'm going to send it in our group chat. I have 2 images. Nikki can add them to the screen after. So originally, Shaggy as a Werewolf was pitched as a series that was not picked up. And the Monster Car Race was also pitched as its own sort of Wacky Races type series and was not picked up. And so at some point, Joe Barbera was like, put them together and make a movie. Was that the best idea? Well, I mean, I hope he was happy with it. I hope that it satisfied whatever he needed it to do. But yeah, there. Okay, so I've sent them to you guys. They're very cool presentation art. Really, really cool art. Shaggy and his little bug with Scooby, and then he turns into the werewolf. You can clearly see from the Monster Car Race that they are much more detailed than what we do end up with. And I think that would have been like a nightmare for the animators if they had tried to do it like this, which is probably one of the reasons that it didn't go anywhere. But yeah, unfortunately, I can appreciate what this is and why it exists. I do think that we should appreciate that. Did it work? I mean, I guess it worked well enough. It's not like I wish that they hadn't done it and that those 2 presentations just like never existed as anything. I think it's better that we got the film. It's because it's not like it's bad. And this is what I feel about all classic Scooby, which again, I'm considering classic Scooby everything prior to Pup Scooby. The worst Scooby from back then, for me, is still better than any modern Scooby that I've ever seen. That's just my opinion. I don't know that any of it was bad. Definitely a lot of it was much better than some of it, but I don't know that I could actually say that any of it, including this film, was bad. I don't think it was bad. It just, unfortunately, it was too many things trying to happen at the same time and nothing getting the attention that it needed to really sort of polish it off. It's extremely long. This could honestly have probably just been like a 22-minute episode of Scooby. I really think that it could have been condensed into that and it would have worked, because this just felt like it went on and on and on. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're still racing? Like, where's the end of the race? And then the race ends and you've been waiting all this time for the ending. And for me, it just seemed like then it was just over really quick. So it's like all of this long drawn out build up to like nothing. So it's not a bad movie, but it is very clear that it was originally originally intended as two separate things. They were not successful in blending them seamlessly, I don't think. I would still watch the movie again, but like this is one of those movies where it's like, okay, I just need something going on in the background for company, but I don't need to pay attention to a single second of it. There was only a few moments where I like, because on my, I guess it was the second rewatch, I was kind of doing something else. There was only a handful of times where like I stopped what I was doing so that I could enjoy the moment that was happening on screen. So does it serve a purpose? Absolutely. Am I glad that it exists? Yes. Is it in the top echelon of Scooby? Unfortunately, no, it's not. But I can kind of even as cool as those presentation boards are, I honestly don't know that I would sit through either of those ideas as a series. Shaggy as a werewolf, beyond one single episode, I don't think that would have been viable. And we already got that with Moonlight Madness. And that was a short, wasn't it, Joel? Wasn't that just like one of like the 7-minute ones? It wasn't even like a 12 or a 22-minute one.
Right. Yeah.
He turned into it. They did stuff. It was over. You didn't need any more. And this movie is like almost an hour and a half long. 7 minutes, hour and a half. I think that sort of speaks for itself.
Joel, your general thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, this does actually steal a bit from Moonlight Madness too, because he has the hiccups in this. And the other one, when the moon goes away, he changes back to Shaggy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a bit of a overlap there. Overall thoughts, the first time I ever watched this and the last time I ever watched this was 1989. And I remember just walking away from the TV. It was on TV, and I was so excited to watch it. It's at my grandparents' house. It was a Sunday. We're there for like lunch, and then we hung out after. But I usually went to they had like a little side bedroom, and I usually watched TV while my parents talked to my grandparents about stuff. Not that I wasn't old enough to hear what they're talking about or whatever. It was just Scooby-Doo was on. I'm going to go watch Scooby-Doo. If it wasn't Scooby-Doo, it'd be like Degrassi or something. And I think I watched Mad Max. They had cable. My parents didn't have cable, but my grandparents had cable, so I could catch stuff I couldn't normally watch. So when you're a little kid, that's awesome. But I wasn't young enough to, I guess, appreciate this. If I was like 6, 7, or 8, I think I would have loved this. Because I watched a lot of bad TV when I was 6, 7, and 8. Like, I watched Gummy Bears and Smurfs, and I mean, they're classic shows, but they're not known for their like adult humor or not. They're not mature shows, I guess. They're just kind of goofy. So I would have liked this back then, but I guess because I was more into the G.I. Joe era of things, Transformers, whatever else was out. That was real Ghostbusters. I think I bring up the same cartoons all the time. This was just a little too mature for me, but it was cool, I guess, back then. I never finished it. And then for this panel, I watched it 3 times. So like I had all these years to watch it again. And this panel, I'm like, I pretty much had the same thoughts. I'm like, this like Wendy said, it's not bad. It's not horrible. If I had a kid who was like young enough to like this kind of stuff, it'd be the perfect thing to keep them busy for 90 minutes. They'd probably have a good time with it. And I think that's how a lot of people hail this as a classic, because their parents probably bought this on a DVD or VHS tape and they just watched it over and over again. Because back in the days of physical media, you didn't have the overwhelming presence of everything else in the world. So I think that's why this became a classic, which is probably ruining another answer, but yeah, not bad. Not bad. Just not for me. And I think both of you kind of gave the reasons why I didn't like this.
Do you want to comment at all on the images that Wendy sent us?
Well, my eyesight's ain't great, but what I saw was good, but I have to look at this on my computer later and blow it up because my eyesight's not great. So I'm like, I was looking at them, but I'm like zooming in, and then when you zoom in too much, you don't see the whole picture. So
yeah,
I have to look at them. I'm excited to look at it on my computer later, but from what I saw, look cool. Like that, they have like a VW bug.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looked awesome. And then was there some sort of weird dragon vehicle in the second one?
Mm-hmm.
That looked awesome. And I would have rather watched those two than this. But I, like you said, I don't know if I could sit through either of those either. Well, maybe the VW one. I don't know. I like the little bugs, the little VW bugs, if I'm saying that right. I only know from like Bumblebee from Transformers. He was one of those.
So my general thought is that this felt like a Laugh Olympics episode that was way too long.
Mhm.
Like the whole time I was watching it, I just felt like I was back to like watching Laugh Olympics. And I mean, that wasn't an amazing series, but at least the episodes were shorter. I did really like Shaggy's design because he was cute and not scary. So it kind of fit in the whole idea of the movie. But it was a long, long movie. And like Joel, when I watched this twice, when the first time I watched it, when they were doing the race for the last half of the movie, I fell asleep. And then I had to keep like backing it up and I kept falling asleep. So, yeah, I'm not totally sure that I took in the whole race, but there was a lot going on. Yeah. I do like these pictures that you sent, Wendy. I think that both of them are really cool ideas. The cars are awesome. Definitely would have made it so much better if they were designed like this. But I'm also not sure that I could watch a whole series of Scooby or Shaggy as a werewolf or something similar to Wacky Races, with the cars. I feel like it's been done. So
That Shaggy and he's more of a dog form too. That's an interesting take on a,
yeah.
yeah.
I do like the spookiness of that though. Looking at
Yeah.
the poster, like it kind of looks more scary and spooky.
Yeah, it looks really awesome.
I can see why, like the way that they made the movie, they made it for kids. So you didn't want Shaggy to be super scary.
Yeah.
What do you think the appeal of the movie is, Joel?
Yeah, nostalgia. I think a lot of kids caught this early on, and they the trilogy of these three, right? They caught them at the right age, and they just nostalgia. Nostalgia is why we're talking today. Well, maybe that makes it sound weird because I'm probably implying that Scooby-Doo isn't awesome, but Scooby-Doo is awesome, but this movie's just not that awesome. Um, but yeah, nostalgia. It's why we spend a lot of our grown-up money on things that we're trying to reclaim our youth, right? And kids, our youth, we have good childhoods and, brings back warm and fuzzy feelings when you pop this on. I imagine a lot of people who think they love this movie probably fall asleep too. They probably fall asleep a lot to this, or they are doing other things while they're watching it because I can't really imagine a 30-year-old person watching this and enjoying it and paying attention the whole time. Even if they're watching with their kids, they'd probably like just doze off or think about grown-up things. It's not that engaging, but why am I babbling? I don't know.
When I watched it the second time, when I watched it right before we recorded, I tried so hard to watch it and not be doing anything else. And at one point ended up like also doing a puzzle on my iPad. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is not helpful. I'm supposed to be watching the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy, what do you think the appeal of the movie is?
Yeah, I would agree with Joel. Definitely, as far as like adults watching it, for sure, it's nostalgia. And I think specifically for that period of time as well. Especially if you're in like any of our age groups, that like late 80s is kind of like, even though we're all different ages, it's like a common ground though, I do feel like for some reason. And also at the end of the day, it's Scooby. And no one can deny. If you slap Scooby on something, somebody's going to buy it, somebody's going to watch it. People watched Velma. That right there should tell you everything that you need to know about how people feel about wanting to consume things that have to do with Scooby. Joel brought up a good point. If I had a little kid, this is definitely something that I could put on and I would not be the least bit concerned that I would need to like police it or explain things later on. Like, okay, well, yes, they did this, but you shouldn't do that. Or I would feel completely safe showing this to like a little child. I would have absolutely no qualms whatsoever about doing that, which does give the movie appeal, whether you like it or not, like to me. Because I could recommend this movie. I would preface it with like, don't expect this to be like the best thing you've ever seen or to be a classic that you're going to want to rewatch 100 times. But it's safe. It's Scooby. It is entertaining on, you know, a number of levels. And you know what? If you have to watch it in like 67 parts, like I did the first time because I was trying to take notes, which meant sitting there and watching it and listening and writing things down and paying attention. Did it take me a week to see it? Yes. But that's okay. And I did get things out of it. Did I completely forget? I mean, Nikki, the first question you asked us was about the intro. Did I completely blank and not remember anything? And you guys are talking and I'm like, when did any of this happen? And I'm just sitting here while you guys are talking, looking at my notes, and I literally have a note here about the intro, Reluctant Werewolf intro with the spooky fonts as we get a great pan of different rooms in Dracula's castle. Even reading my own note, I'm like, what spooky font and pan of Dracula's castle? I watched this movie twice. I have no memory of that. So I don't know what that says about me. I don't know what that says about this movie. I don't know. This was not one of my favorites when I was younger, but it was Scooby. And there, even when I was a kid, there was something about that late 80s time period for me and Scooby that already felt nostalgic. I don't know how that's humanly possible given how young I would have been and that it would have been just like the early 90s. So the late 80s was just like a few years prior. It didn't even feel like but it did feel like a different time though. It felt like a different time period. And another thing that I think would have made this better and given it more of an appeal. Now obviously I did not see this when it first aired. So perhaps this is just how they have transferred it onto DVD. The background is so washed out and light. And there's just not enough contrast with anything. Or excuse me, there's too much contrast between the characters and the background that is creating this weird, like, sticker effect that's taking the movie down for me. Nothing is cohesive. When you're watching classic Scooby, I mean, the characters they fit those backgrounds. The backgrounds are like sumptuous and they're I don't mean bright as in like they don't necessarily have to be bright colors. I just mean they're bright enough that you can see what's going on. You can see everything. And there's not this weird like, oh, the character cells are just like stuck onto something. Everything sort of like it comes together. This lacks that completely. It looks like a sticker book or, you know, and that sort of made it so that I couldn't really get into it because the story has a lot to do with just what you're seeing as well as what is actually happening or the script itself. And so that if they could take this film and darken those backgrounds, I mean, think of the backgrounds in Ghoul School and how just like incredible that stuff was. It's not that these backgrounds are not incredible. They are. But whoever, like, again, maybe when it first aired, it didn't have this weird contrasting thing. I don't know. That is something that could be corrected now, though, with all of our digital capabilities. 100%. I think that would, in and of itself, improve this film. Darken up those backgrounds, make it less of that weird contrast between the characters, just like sitting on top of it. They're not a part of it. And I think that is somehow affecting the story for everyone who's watching it. So, but yeah, Joel nailed it. Nostalgia is 100% the appeal of this film, which there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's good, it's wholesome, it's fun on some level. So yeah, we can't really complain too much about it.
It is a really good movie for kids because, like you said, Wendy, there's nothing bad in it. I mean, the worst thing is what? Dracula loses his boxers.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I can see the way that they handled Dracula and making him more funny and the monsters and making them silly that would appeal to kids and kids would be excited about it. Kids love cars and races, and so yeah, it would be a really good movie for like a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nostalgia is definitely why people love this movie, for sure. So they left it open at the end where Dracula and the Hunch Bunch were at the window, kind of leaving it open to a sequel. So what are your thoughts about a possible sequel? Do you think they would ever do that with this, Wendy?
I don't think that they will. I do think that was probably Joe's hope, given that, these were failed pitches already. And I think that he would have loved for something to have come of this. I'm wondering right now, because, everyone is like, oh, we got to reboot this or update that or whatever. I think that we can agree for the most part that Return to Zombie Island and Curse of the 13th Ghost were abominations, and that those were continuations of a story that were handled very poorly. I'm wondering, could something like this have, could it be one of those things? But again, do I have any faith in the people that would be making it? No, because like how that 13th Ghost one really just irks me, because that needed to be made to finish off that series, and they blew it for me. There's nothing redeeming about that film. I will never watch it again. I didn't like it. And it should have been very easy to make a really good film of that. Could they continue this? I mean, maybe it has more merit than like anything else. I mean, I'd honestly rather see them try to continue this now than make like a brand new series, like for anime Scooby. Like, why? I know some people are excited about that. I'm not one of them. I'm just like, why are you doing this? What is the point? Would I rather see them take something like this and use it as a jumping off point? Yeah, I would. Because I'd be like, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? And then immediately I would regret saying that, because Velma, there's horrible things that could happen. Yes, there are. There are horrible, horrible things. So do I want them to do it? No, don't touch our classic Scooby. Even the stuff that's like mediocre, don't touch it. Just leave it alone, because yes, you can make it worse. I can't even imagine where they could have gone with that, though. If there had been like a sequel of some sort, I can't even give like an example of like, oh, well, they could do this and we would watch it. Under no circumstances do I think that could have kept going. I can't think of any anyway. If you guys, I mean, I would love it if one of you has like an idea of how they could have made it work, but I just can't imagine. It's like the story's over. Shaggy can't become a werewolf again. What would be the point?
Yeah. Joel, your thoughts on it being there being a sequel?
Oh, I'm glad we didn't, because then I'd have to sit through that. But I'm being mean. I think if you had like a really good creative team, I think this could make it maybe a good comic book, like a modern comic book, where you have like maybe a writer who grew up with this, loved it, and then maybe they put like a kind of like a 70s spin on it. Like I'm thinking that Burt Reynolds one with Sally Field, Jerry Reed, be be the Bear, someone BJ and the Bear. No, or they're driving like the Coors thing. Everyone knows what I'm probably talking about. It's got the cop he's from the Honeymooners. Do you know the movie I'm talking about? They made three of them. Smokey and the Bandit. They
Mm.
did something kind of like
Okay.
give the comic book like a 70s vibe, have like
Okay.
maybe Scrappy's like Shaggy's mechanic, maybe cut Googie out, and maybe maybe Shaggy is the werewolf again. He gets sucked back into being a werewolf. And they kind of make it like a 70s kind of like Ghost Rider, kind of werewolf by night kind of vibe, like a dark vibe. That's what I kind of want to see. Like a grown-up version of this. Get rid of the whatever the bunch, hunch bunch. Yeah, the hunch bunch. Get rid of them. Keep Dracula, but make Dracula less comedic. Maybe make Dracula more a little earnest, but make him sneaky too, like throwing traps their way so they lose. I don't know. I didn't even know I was going to answer this question, even though you wrote it down, Nikki.
I did send everything to you in
You
advance this
did.
time.
You did. I was really trying hard to finish the movie again today and pay attention. I wasn't paying attention to the questions. So, oh man, Nikki wants me to watch this movie, and literally realize you're falling asleep during it. So maybe I should have paid more attention to the questions. But I think I want to see more Scooby in comic books and less. Like my problem with a lot of the movies and animation is just there seems to be too many hands in the pot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just one hand just ruining everything. But it just seems like we didn't get that. Even though I'm in the minority here. I like the two returns, 13 Ghosts, and I like the Zombie Island one. But I went in expecting the worst, and they were fine. They didn't honor the first two, but I never expected them to. But as overall movies, they were fine. But they weren't what they should have been. And I think with comic books, you might have more leeway with that, where I've just written off the movies and cartoons because there just seems to be too much higher ups paying attention to what's going on. So, and I like comic books, and I think there's probably some great artists there who could do a really creepy, like they could take that first image that you showed us, Wendy, or even the second one, and just do take the time and just draw it out nicely and right and proper. That'd be cool.
I'm not sure that there should be a sequel for Reluctant Werewolf. I just don't. They'd have to make some major changes, and I don't think they could do it as a race. And like Joel said, the Hunch Bunch has to go.
Yeah.
I would have done Dracula a lot different. So I'd want to see him differently if they were ever going to do a sequel. I just hope they don't. I feel like Return to Zombie Island and Curse of the 13th Ghost were okay movies if you didn't think of them as sequels. If they were just standalone movies, then they weren't so bad. But yeah, like Joel, I didn't go into those really having high hopes that we were going to get like another Zombie Island. You know, I really didn't see that them being able to pull that off again.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Did you have a favorite part of the movie, Joel?
Yes, the end credits.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay. Wendy, your favorite part?
Okay, so I really like some of the lines that Dracula had. Also, there's a moment where he like crosses his fangs. which I don't know, that tickled me. I thought that was great. But so there's this recurring scene of the peasants that are standing out watching the race, and they have no enthusiasm. I mean, they're like every one of us watching the film, like, yay. 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 And Dracula's getting more and more frustrated that they're not being more like lively about it. So one of his lines was, "The next time I want to be alone, I'll call you guys."
Yay! The next time I want to be alone, I'll call you guys.
And I thought that was great. But my favorite one is like his interaction with Vampira, and she's so ditzy and stupid, and it just somehow works though. So he tells her a joke of some sort, and she doesn't get it. So he says, "Get it?" She says, "Get what?" And he goes, "Stay with me. I want to be alone."
Get it?
Get what?
Stay with me. I want to be alone.
And I don't know what it was about that, but for me, that is like a laugh out loud moment. I don't do that usually, but I don't know. I thought that was so clever. And as a kid, I probably did not get the joke. And now I don't know. That's my favorite part of the whole film. Stay with me. I want to be alone. I thought that was just like brilliant.
My answer was going to be the end credits as well, but I knew Joel was going to say it. So I decided that my favorite part was when Scooby was wearing the werewolf mask.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't really say that anything else in the movie could be a favorite part. That's it. That's all I got is the werewolf mask. Yeah. Final thoughts on Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. Wendy?
Well, I mean, Shaggy's house was really awesome. It looked very scary. It was creepy Victorian. I mean, I thought that was really great. There was like some promising things in this. I definitely would have liked to have been watching that movie with them at the beginning. Yeah. I mean, is anybody going to reach for this first and foremost? Probably not, but some of the artwork in it is really good. And I can appreciate that it was something that meant a lot to Joe. He really wanted both of those series to be a thing. And you know what? If you own your company or you're the boss, why shouldn't you be able to be like, hey, nobody wants to make these series that I want to make? Fine, make them into my movie for me. Why should you not be allowed to do that? You should do that. And I think good for you. Good for you. So on that alone, I feel like the movie has a ton of merit. It's not a bad movie. It just, unfortunately, really, I think it could have benefited from a lot of editing. I would love them to re-release this in the future and like fix that background issue. Make it so that it matches the characters, because it's too washed out and pale and it just takes you out of the film. But at the end of the day, it's Scooby and Shaggy and Scrappy. I'm never going to say no to that. Probably I'm not going to watch this again for quite a while, but I would not be opposed to it. And that's more than I can say for a lot of other movies that I've seen that are arguably better movies. I still would probably rather watch this. So I think that says something about it. I don't want to say that like the 80s were like my golden age of Hanna-Barbera, but they also kind of were. Because for me, I've always made a distinction between what's my favorite of something and what I think is the best. And usually those two things are not the same. Usually what I think is the best is not my favorite. And what I think is my favorite is definitely not the best. So is this a little bit of product of how I grew up? Meaning that primarily it was like the Scrappy episodes that I was watching and the Scooby-Doo show with very little Where Are You sort of in the mix. a lot of 80s stuff, a lot of new Scooby-Doo mysteries with Daphne added to the group of the three. Yeah, and this is kind of still within that wheelhouse. So for that reason, this really appeals to me and would mean that like honestly, in 6 months, I'm going to forget that I said how boring this movie was, and I will probably have the urge to put it on while I'm doing something. Whether I do it or not is another story, but if I do, I'll get like 20 minutes in and be like, oh, wait a minute. Oh. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm going to forget that I didn't like it as much. Like, I'm going to think that I like it more than I do after some time has passed. And I think that actually makes a movie very successful if you can do that. So if you've never seen it, you should watch it. Just be prepared that you might have to watch it in like a few installments because you may fall asleep or you may just need to walk away from it, but that's okay too. It's fine.
Joel, your final thoughts?
Yeah, and in 6 days, I'll probably forget about this. Because, well, we were trying to do this panel about a month ago, and I kind of forgot everything, even though I watched it a month ago. And heading into this, I thought this would be my favorite out of the three, because I always thought it was. And it's my least favorite right now. But in 6 days, it'll probably become my favorite again, because I'll just forget. Because I'm an idiot. And it's not horrible. It's just, it's for little kids, I think, I feel. And the clamshell VHS tape is iconic. You know, every Scooby collector, it's like a grail of theirs to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Clamshell, the poster art. It's cool poster art. If I were to review this though, right now, like it'd be one word and it'd be just woof. That's my feelings of it.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm not even sure what to say. I mean, I also watched it a month ago and I fell asleep then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe this is what I need to fall asleep too. Maybe I'll sleep better if I watch Reluctant Werewolf every night.
Yeah. Yep, there you go.
That's what I need to do. Since I don't sleep very good, maybe I should watch that and I'll sleep like a baby. I'm curious to know the people that love this movie. Like, what is it for you that you love it so much? I mean, I can understand it's Scooby and, you know, people love Scooby, Scrappy, Shaggy. But I am very curious what exactly it is about this movie that people like, because I found it difficult to watch it. And I also felt like that with the Ghoul School. Boo Brothers, probably my favorite of the three. And yeah, we're just going to wrap things up. Before we do, we'll let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Joel?
Well, again, first. You can tell I don't like going out of routine. You can find me on YouTube. Type in Planet Scooby.
Wendy?
I'm on Instagram at WendyBRYDGE, Twitter X, Wendy Loves Jesus, and my blog is wendylovesjesus.wordpress.com.
You can find all my links on ScoobyAddicts.com. Let us know your thoughts on Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, and thank you for joining us for another Scooby Panel. Thank you for tuning in to another Scooby Panel. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. If you like these panels, please subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A huge shout out to our patrons, Julie Rosen, Ross from ScoobyFan.net, Tagus, Garrett Spencer, Paul the Scooby Dude, and Jesse. If you would like to support the Scooby Panel, please go to patreon.com/ScoobyAddicts. A very special thank you to artist, blogger, and Scooby collector Wendy BRYDGE and Joel from Planet Scooby. Scooby Panel is available in podcast form on most podcast platforms, or as a web series on YouTube. You can find Scooby Panel on Instagram, Facebook, and X as @ScoobyPanel. We are part of the Collector's Maze Network, where you can find all things geek. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's website, onescottshop.com. Scooby Addicts artwork by Will Davenport. Scooby Panel logo by Garrett Spencer. Video editing by Nikki Blake. Please join us next time for another Scooby Panel.